Hello and welcome to Stay Paid, the sales and marketing podcast from ReminderMedia, where we bring you actionable advice to help you grow your business so you can live a life of freedom tomorrow, but only if you take action today. My name is Joshua Stike, VP of Marketing here at ReminderMedia, and with me is Luke Acree, President of ReminderMedia.
I like how you always clarify our titles. I love that.
Well, on the episodes where we have guests, I throw the titles out. On our normal episodes, I leave the titles off. Remember, we're scripted.
Yes, we're scripted.
Stick to the script.
We're stick to the script. We had a podcast on that. But I'm excited to be here if you can't tell. This is going to be a great podcast.
Even more excited, and our audience will be too when they hear our special guest in the studio today is none other than the Millennial Realtor himself, Mr. Ed Stulak. Welcome, Ed.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Ed is a New Jersey licensed realtor and social media shark. He's seriously an up-and-coming personal brand to continuously watch. You guys have to check him out if you haven't. With over 37,000 followers on Instagram currently. You guys can find him at Ed Stulak on Instagram and Twitter. He has earned several acclaimed titles in the industry, such as Creative Director, Chief Creative Officer, and co-founder of multiple companies that developed his personal platform, his digital platform niche. Along with selling real estate in New Jersey, Ed teaches national and international real estate agencies and individual realtors how to grow a reputable and effective personal brand that matters to their preferred demographics. Ed, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. That was a great intro.
Speaking of international, we just heard you're actually flying out to Puerto Rico tonight.
Yes.
Pretty amazing.
To teach internationally, which is pretty awesome.
Yes, I am, and I can't wait to get that going. So it's going to be the first of many more to come.
Hey, that's awesome. So guys, just give you a little backstory on how we met Ed. So one of our sales operations guys has, I guess, come across you on social media, on Instagram, and told me, hey, you got to check this guy out.
Absolutely.
So I started following Ed and seeing what he was doing. But the reality was I had actually already been following you. So I said, oh my goodness, I actually think I follow this guy. What's so amazing about what you're doing on Instagram, and I have to be real with you right now, when I first started following you, I kind of was like, this guy's a little nuts. Like, this guy's a little crazy. But here's a super valuable point, because it's a testament to you have to be authentic.
Yeah.
You have to be yourself. You have to add value. And the truth is, you know what you've convicted me of, me and my personal, is that I always get centered, and I think some of our audience listening to this has the same probably issue. You get nervous of what people are going to think, what people are going to say about you. Like, is this going to resonate with people? Is it not going to resonate with people? And your willingness to be who you are has attracted, 32,000 followers on Instagram? It's amazing, dude. I mean, it's incredible. So you have 32,000 followers on Instagram.
Well, you grew 32,000 in like 2 years,
in 2
right?
years.
And
2 years.
You're like 37 right
so,
now. When this podcast go out, it'll probably be higher.
This is a guy that actually knows how to grow an Instagram following, which I know is super important. But Ed, if you could kind of introduce yourself to the audience, tell them your backstory. I always call it the 30,000 foot view. You know, like, how did you get into real estate? How did you get into social media? Where are you at today? So if you could kind of introduce yourself to the audience.
Absolutely. The 30,000 foot view. I love it. So very quickly, I started up. I was born in New Jersey, first born in my family, as we're all from Slovakia and back in Europe. So really breaking that culture of learning how to speak the language, and just pretty much trying to adapt to the American culture was difficult at first. But I was brought up as a single child, so my best friends were my parents. Whatever they told me, I went for it. So they said, Ed, there's pre-med, there's a lawyer, you can be all this stuff. There's a lot of money in it. And of course I said, sure, okay, I'll go. And so, my first 18 years of life, I always played hockey, and I was actually recruited for Penn State. So Philly is
that's awesome.
So Philly's right down the road from me. Going to Penn State and playing the games, and I was recruited to go to Penn State, study pre-med, and play hockey. So I listened to my parents.
That's a busy schedule.
Oh, very busy schedule. My goodness. But there did come a game where I got a hit, and my ligaments in my shoulder ripped. I didn't know what to do with my life. I kind of was taken back. I didn't know what to do. So I had a lot of time to reanalyze what it was. So now breaking apart from that whole lifestyle of hockey and school and education, now I had time to realize what my heart wanted to do, not what my parents told me to do. That was business. That was entrepreneurship. That was music. That was whatever else. I'm a creative guy, so I wanted to do something creative, but something that resonated with a lot of people the right way. As you were saying before this podcast, relevancy is so important. What is relevant to others that will make others stick to what I'm doing, what I'm portraying myself as. So that's when I said, real estate makes sense. I like it. There's money in it. I can get to dress up every day, and I love that. So right off the bat, I said, if I can put on a suit and tie every day, look dapper, and go sell houses, count me in. So I did. Awesome. So I got into it. along the way, I started realizing that there were so many like-minded individuals. There's this guy that thinks like me. There's this guy that speaks like me. He dresses like me. He sells better than I do. And it's like everyone around me all of a sudden started helping me in some shape or form. So, just again, the 30,000 foot view started off with the 9 to 5 vision, but really stepped into this whole what does my heart love to do, and that's what I'm really pushing today.
And you closed like $1 million in sales, right? Your first year?
In my first year.
What year was that?
That was last year, 2016 to 17.
That's incredible. Not to like boil it down to a simple formula, man, but how? Like,
I have no idea how I did it. Really.
I love that. That's usually how your first year goes. It's like something happened, and I have no idea what happens. We don't even know what's happening with the Remindermedia right now. It's like, how do you guys do this? We don't know.
We have no idea. It's kind of just running on its own. But I don't know. It just I always believed in having a mentor, someone holding my hand.
Nice.
And I needed someone to guide me. I know that in life there's no way there's a way, don't get me wrong, there's a way to do it. However, I love taking the shortcut. And if I know there's a variable to help me get to that shortcut and access that shortcut, I will take it. And I know having a mentor is one of those things.
So then walk us through kind of, because I know our audience, and I had shared this with you, before we got on the podcast, is that, everybody's very similar when you're trying to run a business and you're trying to grow a business. Whether you're in real estate, insurance, financial advisor, we're all waking up today and going, how do I gain a client or keep happy the clients I have so they use me over and over and over again? So when you look at your business, you've been in real estate, 2 years you said now? So you're working for Remax, you've been in business for 2 years. When you wake up, how do you go about finding clients? Like, how does that look for you? I know you're big on social media, so maybe you touch on that a little bit of how that's influencing it. But if you were speaking to our audience, like, how are you getting leads? Are you doing the normal stuff? Like, break that down a little bit for us.
So I believe in the old classic fundamentals of any business, and within real estate, specifically because I'm in that industry, specifically in real estate, it's door knocking, it's sending out mailers, it's cold calling, it's for sale by owners, and all this fancy schmancy stuff, which a lot of people try to steer away from. However, I can't. It works. The books have proven it to work, and I will stick to it. However, I will adapt. And right now, social media is that adaptive route. So if you're not on there, then you're missing the bus. And I've come to realize that on social media is free marketing. It's free real estate, right? It really is. Everything on social media is free. When you come to think of it, personal branding, the way where you personally brand yourself, you get to post for free. You get to talk about what you do for free. It's just how are you going to creatively portray it where people will say, wow, he's a cool realtor that I want to work with, instead of saying, God, here's another salesman trying to shove his services down my throat.
So did you get in when you got in, specifically Instagram? What do you have? 32,000 like we talked about. So when you started your Instagram channel, let's say we have some realtors out there that are starting channels right now, or they have an Instagram, but they don't have a ton of followers, or they're not seeing a ton of success. When you got into Instagram, did you have a strategy in mind, or did you just kind of start, like, how did you go about posting? What did you post? How did that evolve for you? Like, how did it take off to 32,000 followers? What was the...
So in the beginning, it was a lot of my friends, family, friends that I played hockey with or whatever it was. So I grew a little bit of a following there, but that wasn't as relevant as I wanted it to be. So then I started thinking, what will make people follow me and stick? Because I need to give people something in order for them to stick. So what I always like to say is, if I'm walking down the mall and I'm going down the food court and all of a sudden I have these little, people giving me their food, free samples, you better believe I'm running there and getting some free samples, because I love them free samples, a little bit of the
That's
chicken
like
or
Sam's Club. I don't know if, I can't even remember Sam's Club. Is it here? Sam's Club here? So we have Sam's Club. Yeah. I remember as a kid going to Sam's Club was like a treat, because you had those free samples all over Sam's.
So that's what I'm saying. And then I figured, okay, let me take that concept and just apply it to social media. What can I give for free for people to run to me? Nice. But they have to stick. They got to make sure that if they're getting free value today, they're going to get it tomorrow and the next day and the next week.
What's an example of like a free thing you did?
A tip and trick. Here's a tip and trick on how to grow a following. Here's a tip and trick on door knocking. For example, when Christmas came around, I wanted to door knock in a creative way. So I took my business card, attached it to a candy cane, and put it on the doorknob.
Nice.
And I gave realtors that idea. hey, go out there and get a candy cane, buy a box of them at Walmart, and you can get, I don't know, I bought like 500 of them, and I got them for what, under $50. And I said, okay, no problem. $50, a lot of sweat equity, but and then I'm just going to go out there and be creative. I had a little kid call me and said, hey, I'm not looking to buy, but this was a really cool idea. I said, you let me know when you're ready to buy.
I'll be around in 18 years, whatever it is. But that's very similar to like Brian Buffini. I don't know if you're familiar with Brian Buffini or whatever, work by referral, that type of idea. But he always talks about these pop buys. And his whole like spiel or his whole attack on it is being very creative and unique to create that impact or that gratitude or that buzz, like that fluffy feeling, because once you trigger that in people, that's getting the emotion going, and then they'll reciprocate it. Maybe a little kid will call you, but maybe next time it will be an actual somebody who's looking to buy or sell, because that difference maker of a business card versus a business card with a candy cane is everything. Like, and I don't want our audience to miss that. That little difference is everything.
And I'll give you another example is when it came to social media, which is my strongest platform. That's where I, like, waking up in the morning, what do I do? I do social media. I go on there and I speak with my audience. I talk to them. I answer questions, my DMs. And I'm always flooded with questions, so I try to answer and provide any sort of value. There was a realtor down in Virginia that has been following me for quite some time now, for about, let's say, a year and a half plus. And I always provided him value, always gave him value, always gave him a tip and trick, whatever it was. He messaged me, I messaged him back, and we always kept that communication going. There came a time when he reached out to me again and said, Ed, you know, I was door knocking in Virginia. I knocked on the door and was saying, hey, want to buy or sell? The owner said no. However, I do have a property up in New Jersey. Maybe you can. So what did he think of? He thought of me. And he reached out to me. Ed, here's this information. Here's this guy. He's an older gentleman. Give him a call. See what's up. I just listed his property and I just sold it the other day.
That's awesome,
you know, and that came from someone that followed me and saw what I was doing, knew that I provided him value, so he wanted to give it back to me in some shape or form.
Gotcha.
And now he did.
So, you know, you mentioned like social media, but you also mentioned the fundamentals. And I'm curious because so many people I think the reason 87% of realtors fail within the first 5 years is they are scared of sales, specifically the telephone, and specifically the rejection of door knocking, getting a door slammed in your face, basically. When you started out in real estate, like how much door knocking are you doing? How many phone calls are you making? Are you tracking that stuff? Are you not? Like give people a flavor of what you're doing from that aspect so they can then gut check their own business.
In the beginning, it was tough to track something. It was tough to keep metrics of everything I'm doing because I didn't have fancy tools like a CRM or any of this stuff, so I don't know what's going on. I'm kind of just doing what my mentor told me. He said, go and door knock. I said, all right, how many? He said 10. I said, I'll do 20. And you know, just
dude, I love it. Grant Cardone has a great thing. Commit and then figure it out. Commit and then figure it out. He said, most of you guys worry so much about the time, so much about what it's going to take, the contracts, whatever it is. Commit and figure it out. Figure out the contracts later. Figure out what you're going to do later because you have to. And when you have to do something, you do it. It's like if your kid was dying, you're going to be very resourceful. You're going to figure out every stinking way you can save this child that might be drowning or whatever it is, right? Because in that moment, that's a very morbid analogy, but that was the analogy he used. But the point being is that when that happens, you're very, very resourceful. When you have to do something, you are super, super resourceful. Commit. Figure it out later.
That's right.
So I love that.
And a lot of people overanalyze when it comes to whatever it is. And that's why a lot of these people
don't ever get stuff done. But now your kid dying. Overanalyze that. You should definitely overanalyze.
Right. If that's the case, absolutely overanalyze. But no, absolutely. You know, beginning was a lot of just, let's try, let's see how it works. And I was door knocking. I think someone told me, you know, if you got to make 10 phone calls in order to get one person to commit. So I said, okay, let me just apply that to door knocking because I love door knocking. I'd rather go in person, shake someone's hand, say, hey, I'm Ed, I'm with Remax. How can I help you today? Instead of calling. So I didn't really pick up the phone as much as I should have, but I did door knock a lot. Hit like 1,000 houses plus my first year.
Wow.
I hit about 200 in one day.
Wow.
Cool little thing though, which I came across, is that condominiums, usually they have 3 floors. There's a lot of doors to knock on. So I hit like, 20 doors in 5 minutes? I love it. And I got a sale from that. from a condo. Just going and hitting them. I think in an hour I hit about 150 condos. It's different. It's a little paycheck, but again, another sale in the books.
That's fantastic. So you talked a lot about personal branding. You talked about kind of the importance of branding yourself. Now you've branded yourself online as the Millennial Realtor. Why did you choose to go that route? How has that kind of worked into the value that you're providing or the brand that you're kind of presenting online?
So the Millennial Realtor really just came from the concept. I'm a young guy. I'm a real estate agent, but I know I don't want to just be called that Stulak. I want to have a little fancy title like everyone has, whatever that is. And I came up with Millennial Realtor. I liked it. It clicked, and something in my heart told me go and run with it to see what you can come up with. And just with that little name right there, I got a lot of connections.
That's amazing. We had another guest on the podcast, Tiffany Beltran, who did the exact same thing. She branded herself as the Celebrity Realtor. And
do you know Tiffany? You guys should connect because she's Philly.
She's in Philly,
and you're in Jersey/Philly, so you guys should connect.
But it was the same exact story. It was not overthinking. It was, this is what I want to go with. It sounds good, and then you're kind of forced, to kind of live up to that. And I think that's what you're doing is, and you mentioned earlier, the fun aspect, being able to not be another realtor, and being able to portray that brand has got to be huge, just in kind of your online presence and how you're presenting yourself.
Absolutely, and again,
you got the branded T-shirt. If you guys are listening to this, make sure to check it out on YouTube. He's got the branded T-shirt. He's got the branded hat. I love that hat. I might have to go. You have an online store? I can go buy one of those.
I'll make some.
All right.
Upcharge you. But have you what's the biggest struggle been to creating your own personal brand? What's been the biggest challenge in doing that?
I would say a lot of doubt and people just saying, someone told me don't go with the Millennial Realtor. People look at millennials as lazy and irresponsible. Don't run with that. You don't want your clientele to be looking at you as a lazy person. Yeah. I said, how about I just call myself the Millennial Realtor and show them what I can do? Then they can base their judgment off of me at that point. So let me just run with it. Let me see how it works. So I did, and just going back to everything that I'm doing as the Millennial Realtor, it just makes more sense for me to really, Millennial Realtor and me, what I'm doing on social media, it makes sense. Millennial on social media, that's what they all do. They wake up and they're glued to their phones. Yeah, that's cool. But now I want to take it to a next step, a valuable step, and that is teaching realtors how to do the same thing, teaching others around the world, nationwide. Take social media and run with it the right way.
Awesome.
So what would you tell a realtor, because you're going down, obviously we talked about you're going down to Puerto Rico and you're speaking, right? And you're speaking on social media marketing and really this influencer marketing. What's some of the advice you would give our audience? And if they were trying to build this influencer marketing and social media, where should they start? Is there a specific platform they should start on? Is Instagram better than Facebook in your mind? How do they start, from scratch going, maybe I have social media accounts. I don't really post on them a lot. How much should they be posting? All these questions go through your mind once you're starting this out. Right. What's some of the thoughts you would give them on that?
That's definitely a topic that we can run with for hours because everyone has different answers. Everyone has different perspectives, different opinions. I personally, sometimes there are people, big social media influencers that think 3 times a day, posting 3 times a day is too much. Something 2 is too much. It depends what you post, how many times you post it, where you want to post it. But if we're looking at statistics, Instagram has the most eyes right now a month. Instagram is the most, I think they're getting 800 million or I don't even know at this point how many viewers and users they're gaining.
Yeah, I see the same.
It's a lot. So why not expose yourself to a platform that has the most eyes? That's the easiest way to go. Instagram is so easy. It's very self-explanatory. You go, you post a caption, you post a comment about what you're doing, you show your lifestyle through an Instagram story, you have a nice little profile. And speaking of that little profile, when someone asks me for a business card, I just say, put it back into your coat. Just follow me on Instagram.
Dude, that's a great tip, guys.
That's a very great tip.
That's an awesome tip.
And you know what? A lot of my business, again, came from just exchanging social medias, not business cards. Any business card that I've ever received, I tell them straight up, I'm sorry, but I just hope you know this is going in the trash. If you want to really continue this relationship with me, follow me on Instagram. I would love to see what your family is about, what your life is about outside of real estate, because that's how I'll really connect with you. And that's how I connect with my clients. Follow me on Instagram. See what I'm doing when I'm not working with you, when I'm not at an appraisal or not at a home inspection. Look what I'm doing. This is my lifestyle. This is my girl. This is my life. And it's things like that that really connect with me more.
It really does touch in that as times are changing and the business card is becoming irrelevant, it's basically wasted space. People aren't keeping them anymore because they're inconvenient.
Yeah.
It also times are changing of how people want to do business with people. They actually want to see the unprofessional side of you. Right? Isn't I don't know if you're experiencing that in your own business, but I'm experiencing that in ours. Like, I mean, you look at how I'm dressed right now. I'm in a polo. I used to wear a suit all the time, right? But at those times, not anything against wearing a suit. I think it's awesome. But people don't necessarily care as much anymore about how professional the company is. They want to know what the company believes in. Mm-hmm. And I think, we've mentioned this on past podcasts, but if you're thinking about kind of from a strategy standpoint or framework standpoint, what you should be posting, just like the Ford method helps you from a networking standpoint in sales, the Ford method of family, occupation, recreation, and dreams. If you just kind of think of your social media in the terms of posting about your family, posting about your occupation and what you're doing, post about your recreation, your hobbies, what you love, and then post about your dreams, what you dream about. That gives people, just like it used to be when you're networking with people, and that's what you would spark conversations for people to get them talking. It's the same, I find it's translating onto social media, which is very, very hard, for at least me personally. It's very, very hard to reveal all of that to people. How do you overcome that? How do you overcome that fear personally yourself of going, what if I say something or post something that my friends are going to make fun of me about, or people are going to see me as the salesman all the time? Like, how do you deal with that in your own mind?
Yeah, that's a really good question, as I do get that asked a lot. They ask me, how do you go about it? How do you overcome that fear of posting whatever it is? Some people ask me, what do you post? And honestly, just kind of whatever I'm doing in the moment. But I want every post to at least be somewhat valuable to whoever is viewing it. I appreciate everyone's time. That every time I see another view on my Instagram story or another like on my post, I appreciate it because someone took time out of their day to look at that. So if that's the case, if you're giving me your time, let me give you value. Let me give you something out of it. So if maybe it's entertainment. That's when it comes to, I want to lead into this, is that what are the things that sell the most, right? There's sex, there's entertainment, there's humor, babies, animals, all this stuff sells.
Babies, animals.
I don't have a baby, knock on wood.
You could get a puppy then.
I could get a puppy. My girl would love that. And it's little things like that. So what else do I have? Maybe humor. Maybe I can make some people laugh. And if that's what sells at the end of the day, great. Then let me bring at least some humor to someone's day. They had a long day of work, or they just hate life right now. I'll entertain you a little bit with my real estate humor or whatever I can do. So I like to do that a little bit. And again, value. So every time they come onto my page, again, I want to provide them some value, whether it's a tip and trick, whether it's humor, entertainment, whether it's a laugh, or maybe it's inspiration. Maybe they sold, I got to take that idea and apply it to my own business, to my own social media.
Sure.
So, well, the mindset for success there, if you guys are listening and pay attention to kind of what Ed is saying, is every one of those things he just mentioned is what can I do for someone else? None of that is what can I do to grow my business today? Yep. And obviously your strategy and your goal is to grow your business and to gain more clients and to network.
It's indirect.
But it's all focused. Everything you just mentioned, it was so natural the way you said it. So you can tell how genuine it is what can I do for someone else today? Can I make them laugh? Can I give them, can I help them learn something new? Or can I entertain them, right? It's kind of focusing on those things. And then all of the things that he mentioned in the beginning of the podcast was, oh, and by the way, because I did that, I got this referral. Or, oh, by the way, because I did this, I connected with this client and they were more comfortable. They got to know me, they got to like me, and then they got to trust me to do business with. And that's really all that it is. I mean, it's not a whole lot more complicated than that. How are you taking, to kind of maybe drill down a little bit deeper if you can, how are you then taking those interactions on social media? You mentioned a couple, you had the referral, from another agent.
Right.
How are you having conversations with clients, or are you lead gen through Instagram? Do you do lead gen through Facebook? What are some of the digital advertising or lead generation methods that you're using to then actually, get those inquiries, get those qualified leads in your CRM and then follow up with them?
Yeah, so I do Facebook advertising. Again, the Millennial Realtor better do it.
Gotta do it.
It doesn't. So I'm doing that aspect side.
What type of ads, not to cut you off, what type of ads are you running?
So I'm just pretty much running local ads where I'm asking, hey, are you looking for a free list of homes under $400,000 in ABC area.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Click here, fill this information out, and then I'm just targeting everyone that's local. So anyone who clicks on it, I get a nice little text message. This guy just signed up. He's looking for a house. What's going on, Mr. Jones? I hear that you want to find a property under 400,000. Yes, in this area that now I have a lead. You know, so that's just one way I go about it. But then going through Instagram, which is my favorite platform, that's where I go on, and the way that I'm generating leads by that is just being me. So I've sold about 4 or 5 sales this year just through Instagram.
Really?
And they're just people that said, hey, Ed, I see what you're doing. I like the way you're doing it. Would you mind selling my house, or would you mind helping me buy a house? I have about 7 or 8 leads that I'm working with right now through Instagram, 8 more that are just simply through, hey, Ed, again, I see what you're doing. I see that you do it in a fun way. I want to do it with you, no one else. I had some guy that said, I have a realtor that I'm working with, but he is old and not... and I can't do it. I see what you're doing.
You have a huge advantage right now, I think, as a real estate agent, that if you start doing what you're doing, which is taking advantage of technologies, the real estate industry is thought of in an antiquated way, like it's old, it needs a lot of change to it. The average age of realtor is 55 years old. Mm-hmm. When you think as a homeowner, who's going to sell my home the best, who's going to understand the new technologies to get it home the best, or sold the best, that's a huge advantage for a real estate agent right now. Just being on social media and posting consistently gives that impression. And I tell people all the time, in the service-based sales profession, if you're a real estate agent, insurance agent, there are so many people, and I hope this doesn't come across the wrong way, there's so many people who can buy and sell houses. Like There's so many realtors. There's 1.2 million,
Absolutely.
You know, probably more, 1.4, you know, I think is what I just saw Tom Ferry post. It's like there's so many realtors that can do that same job. So what separates you? It's your brand. It's like how I perceive you versus how I perceive other people. But it's so hard to justify brand spend versus direct results.
Absolutely.
And do you struggle when you're tracking your marketing budget and what you're spending? Do you struggle really quantifying, like, man, I've spent all this money on ads and, you know, like tracking it back to leads? Like, how do you work that process, that operation of your business? You're spending money out there into the world. You're throwing it out there in hopes that it returns. Right. How do you keep yourself accountable? How do you track that? Do you track that stuff? Like, again, how does that work for you?
One of those things, like Grant, before you said that quote, kind of just throw it and commit. See how it works. So I'm just throwing different numbers out there. I'm throwing different tactics, different methods, and seeing what works best. When I see something that works best, I stick to it and I strengthen it even more.
Okay, so you double down.
I double down.
Okay.
So if I see something that I'm weak in, for example, let's say cold calling, I'm just going to put that aside, and I'm going to focus more on door knocking or more of social media. Whatever is getting me more results, I'm going to double down on it. Right, absolutely.
No, I think that's an extremely good point, is that so many people focus on their weaknesses instead of double down on their strengths.
Right, absolutely.
And if you have something that's working, and I've seen this in ads as well, if you have something that's working in advertising on like Facebook or something like that, you want to double down. Now, not technically, we haven't seen results, and Josh, you would have to speak to this more than me because this is your wheelhouse specifically, but not increasing your spend double necessarily, but gradually increasing quickly, because you can waste some money if you physically just spend the money instead of like we go up. What is it?
We go up 25% at a time. Let that run for a week to the point where it normalizes again. Facebook has its opportunity to recalculate all its algorithms, get back to a cost per lead that we're comfortable with, and then we're looking at it, and increasing by another 25%.
And then doing it again and again and again. But I think it's a super, like, your ability to analyze and say, I'm having success with door knocking, I'm going to double down on door knocking. I'm having success with this one ad. I love the ad you're doing. My brother has done the exact same ad, but it's $200,000 homes because he's down in Virginia, but $200,000 homes. And literally there was a comment today of a lady on the ad. There's probably 30 comments on this ad. I'll see if I can take a screenshot of it. Andrew, if you remind me of this, I'll take a screenshot of the ad he's running, and we'll put it on our Stay Paid podcast show notes so people can see what you're talking about, because that's such a tangible strategy of, do you want a list of all the homes in this area for $200,000 or less? And people comment on that. And he specifically said, tag someone that wants the list of 200,000. So he's getting a ton of people tagged.
People engage, absolutely.
But that's awesome. So, you have kind of two things going on, and I'm curious because you're a realtor with RE/MAX, and maybe our audience is picking up on this, but you're also doing this social media stuff for real estate agents. Like, that's where you're moving to. Can you give us a little insight? Like, Is that where you're headed? Is that your passion? Like you're kind of getting out of real estate and moving to helping realtors really do their social media? Is real estate still your name of the game that you're really focused on? Kind of give us a window into what you're trying to do there.
Cool. So real estate is definitely something that I want to be a part of for a few more years. A few, I don't know what that is. That could be 10, that could be 20.
Could be 100 years.
Could be 100 years. And so I don't know until my real vision of helping other realtors around the world strengthen their social media presence and their personal brand. That's when I'll feel that it's time to, really separate myself. But for now, I'm a realtor, a New Jersey licensed realtor. I'm focusing on it, but I am realizing that I've joined a very oversaturated market where there's tons of realtors. However, I found a very untapped niche, and that is social media. Yeah. So again, the average age of an agent around 55. Not too many of these folks want to be on social media because they don't know how to download Instagram and get on there and start posting. What's a post? How do you caption? What's a hashtag? And so all these questions they're asking, and that's fine. I want to be that guy that will tell them, hey, listen, if you have an iPhone, go to the App Store, download Instagram. If you have an Android, go to the Google Play. I want to be the guy that really takes them from A to Z, holds their hand, and tells them, listen, you can do it. Like, I will tell you how to do it. I'm here by your side to help you do so. But it's something where you can advertise and market yourself and brand yourself for free if you do it the right way. How do you gain a community of followers where you can now advertise yourself too? So these 37,000 followers that I have, every single one of them, I'm going to do some sort of business with them in some shape or form. And right now I have a big following of realtors. So this, I just came across that, that knowledge a few months ago. I mean, it was in May when I said, wow, I'm starting to get a lot of followers that are realtors around the world. It's like 60 followers a day, 40 of them were realtors. I said, okay,
wow,
you know what?
Man.
This is now I'm building a community of realtors. Yeah. So for those that are listening, if you're in the real estate industry, or whatever industry you're really in, build a community that is relevant to you. So once you realize what that is, sell to them whatever they're going to potentially buy at the end of the day. So again, I've built a community of realtors, and I said, I need to sell to realtors. What am I going to sell to realtors? I have no idea. Now, June came around. I said, oh, wait, hold on. I know. Social media. I know it. I'm really good with it. Let me teach others how to do it. And that's where I'm really trying to take off with it. But my goal is absolutely to travel the world, teach agency to agency, national, international agents how to grow their social media presence the right way and how to grow a personal brand that matters.
Dude, I love that. I love how you got a deal from a real estate agent that's following you on Instagram. And so often we overlook, I share always to real estate agents that you realize that your relatives in other states, they could be referrals for you. You can make 25% on that deal, literally from just making sure that every relative in every state knows that if they use a realtor or if they need to sell their home or buy a home, just contact you and you'll find a real estate agent for them. And so it's an easy way to make some money. But so often it's overlooked the referral network that's out there across the United States of people that can feed deals. And you did that through Instagram. So I think that's a super valid point we should make, that if you start on Instagram and you even have real estate agents following you, if you provide value, if you give back to that community, they'll want to give to you. It's that reciprocity effect. That realtor wanted to give to you. Why? Because you've helped him, because you've answered his questions through DM, and he ended up giving you a deal that you closed on. So there's no magic formula to success, right? And so the same goes for social media. There's no magic formula to doing Instagram, Facebook. Like you said, one expert's going to tell you one thing, the other expert's going to tell you the other. It's really about micro testing. Basically, try this. Do people respond? Do you get engagement? Do you get people? And then double down on that type of stuff and kind of evolving it as it goes, because things are evolving quickly. But when it comes to you personally, right, and your routine for success, like, is there something that you do every single day, every week? Is there a routine that you focus on doing in your life and in your business to drive success both personally and business-wise?
Again, I focus on my strengths.
Okay.
So what is my strength? That is social media right now. So if that's the strength, then I focus in on that every day. I wake up and I see what kind of value can I provide to someone, who can I network with, who's going to help me, who can I help? And then I go from there. And when I help someone, it makes me feel good. You know, that's like the 33% law. Ty Lopez kind of talked about it in one of his podcasts, is that 33% of the people that you associate yourself with, they're, I guess you can say, quote unquote, below you, where they need guidance, they need inspiration. And when you give it to them, you feel great. So now I have that 33 in my life, so I help them out, I inspire them. Now I feel great at the end of the day. So I do have those people that follow me, and then I, pick out those, and I know who they are, and I help them out, and then they're, going about their day, implementing new tactics, and pursuing their dreams, and now I feel great. Now I'm pushing mine. So now I have the other 33, is the like-minded individuals, and then your mentors, the last 33. So it's really that social media. I focus in on that every day. What kind of value can I provide? Really?
I love the strategy, if you would, for lack of a better word that I would call it, but the focus that you have on growing your business, which is that adding of value to people. I'll make the point, guys, that is a very, very hard strategy to run consistently, because I am in business, right? So I know business can be war. You're in business. You wake up every day. You don't want to eat ramen noodles. Neither do I, right? But to be consistent in that, in everything I'm going to do, I'm going to be obsessive about adding value. I'm going to, even in your, what do you do every day? You said Instagram, but then you immediately went to the 33% that need your help. Like, that's your consistent theme throughout this podcast. And that's amazing. And I just want to make the point to the audience that that's something you have to commit to hardcore, because you're going to be faced where you want the commission check. And that commission check can steer you off from adding just focusing on the value for the other person. But I'm a firm believer, man, if you build a business based upon helping people, based upon relationships, you might not win exactly how you want to in the moment, but long-term you'll win. And I think a perfect example with this, and you probably have crazier stories than I do, how many crazy deals have you had with realtors that you just go, golly, this person is driving me nuts, and you just want to lambast them like over the phone. You just want to say, you're being crazy. Tell your client this, but you got to treat them with respect, even if they're going to be out of the industry in 30 days, because it's not worth it to go at them, because they'll spread your name and what you're about. It's better being consistent and adding the value. And I've seen that play out in realtors that I've coached and talked to, because that's a huge struggle in the real estate industry. You're dealing with other real estate agents that maybe aren't qualified, aren't trained, whatever it is, and the deal's falling apart, and your temptation is to react and focus on getting the deal done for your commission check, not on the, where you're actually focused on the value that you're providing. So I just wanted to point that out to the audience, that commitment you're making is huge.
Absolutely.
So last question for you, man, because I like to ask this to everybody who's on the podcast, is knowing what you know now, what would you go back and tell younger Ed? Like, what would you tell younger Ed to focus on when it comes to business, what not to run away from, to your personal life, the same type of stuff? Like, what would you tell your younger self?
Number one, do what you love. So once you find what you love to do, really commit yourself to doing it. And number two is associate yourself with like-minded individuals. So if you're thinking about the Lamborghini and the island and the yacht and all that stuff, associate yourself with others that think the same way, because they know something you don't, you know something they don't. When you collaborate at the end of the day, it's a beautiful thing. And ask questions. So that's definitely a great piece of advice that I was ever given. The bigger the question you ask, the bigger the answer you'll get. So
that's good. Yeah, I like that.
I like that quote.
Yeah, quote that on our Instagram.
Bam.
And Ed Stulak.
That's right.
That's fantastic, man. Thank you for being here, Ed. So much good information in there, guys. The most important thing, and Luke, obviously, we'll cover this at the end, but the most important thing is going to be take action on that advice. Start putting yourself in the mindset in the morning when you start the day. How am I going to bring value to other people and organize? I love systems, so I love the 33, 33, 33. You can start organizing that in your mind.
Yep.
If you're producing content, what content am I making that's helping the 33% of people that aren't where I'm at yet?
Right.
What type of content? A third of my content is going to be focused on the people that are like-minded, and a third of my content will be focused on or drawn from those who I aspire to be. Thanks so much for being here, Ed. Before we close, please let people know where they can find and connect with you.
Follow me on Instagram for sure. Instagram for sure. I do. Follow me at Ed Stulak. Follow me on Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. I'm all over the place. I'm the Millennial Realtor. So again,
you're posting videos on YouTube monthly now?
I'm trying to. Whatever it is, trying to make the wave that way.
Is that like more of a vlog style? What's kind of like you're doing like a series or just testing it out?
As of right now, I'm testing it out, trying to see what's working. But again, that is another platform where I have to deliver some sort of value. So what can I deliver on there that I can put on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and all the other social media platforms?
The style is really nice. I mean, the design, the style of the videos and everything is great.
Thank you.
Well, thanks everyone for listening. If you liked what you heard today on Stay Paid, please go into iTunes, give us a 5-star rating. Make sure to leave a comment. You can also find our podcast in video on youtube.com/ReminderMedia. Make sure to tell someone else about the podcast today. We really appreciate it. And if you'd like to get hold of me or Luke, please email us at podcast@remindermedia.com, or you can find either one of us on Instagram or LinkedIn as well. Follow Reminder Media at Reminder Media on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Pinterest. For this episode of Stay Paid, I'm Joshua Stike.
Guys, and I'm Luke Acree, and I'm going to tell you guys the action item for this podcast is really, really obvious. If you're not using social media, you need to be using social media. So you need to take action on that right away. It's as simple as going to the App Store or the Google Play Store and getting Instagram and then start posting authentically. But, more diving in deeper, I think what would be really, really neat for all of you in your business is to think about who those 33% are that you can help. Like if you wrote down, and all of you maybe have a CRM or you have an Excel doc with your list of people, take 30 minutes, go through that database of people and mark the people that you believe you can help. And then think to yourself how you can help these people. And all of a sudden, you know what you've developed? You've developed a touch point call that you could have with them. You've developed a social media post you could post for them. You developed a handwritten note you could write for them, an email. The list goes on and on of how you want to talk to them, what medium you want to choose. But you've literally just given yourself an easy way to connect with your database, which we all know you have to keep in touch with your database of people because you have to strengthen those relationships. So super actionable item there. Guys, the difference between a top producer and a mediocre producer in every business is top producers take action, so take action on that today.